Tensions between Israel and Iran continue to escalate, with Israel's Defence Minister Israel Katz issuing a stark warning to Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei. In a sharp worded statement, Katz said, and I quote, "If Khamenei continues to fire missiles at the Israeli home front, Tehran will burn," unquote. Calling the Iranian Supreme Leader a dictator, Katz accused him of holding Iranian citizens hostage and warned that Tehran's residents would pay the price if attacks on Israeli civilians persist. He said, and I quote, "The Iranian dictator is bringing about a reality in which the people of Iran, especially those in Tehran, will bear the consequences of the harm being inflicted on Israel." This comes amid ongoing cross-border tensions, missile strikes and threats exchanged between the two arch-rivals. The rhetoric is only adding to fears of a broader regional conflict, even as international efforts continue to salvage diplomacy over Iran's nuclear program. And now Iran has warned United States, United Kingdom and France that their bases and ships in the region will be targeted if they help stop Tehran's strikes on Israel. Iran state-run media reported as on today. In the latest development, Israeli strikes have reportedly hit northwestern Tabriz refinery in Iran. Smoke is rising from the facility. The refinery, however, denied in a statement that it has been hit and said that normal production was continuing. Remember, Iran is the third largest oil producer in Middle East, and in what can be seen as an escalation of tensions between Israel and Iran, Israel reported that it has hit the Tabriz refinery in Iran, and smoke could be seen billowing from the facility. However, the refinery, in a statement, has denied that it is hit and said that normal production is continuing. And Iran has also confirmed that at least 2 more commanders were killed in Friday's initial Israeli attacks on Iran. General Mehrabi was the Deputy Intelligence of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, and General Mehdi Rabbani was the Deputy of Operations of the General Staff of the Armed Forces. They both are now killed. However, it is not clear as to where the men were killed. Israel strikes on Friday killed multiple high-ranking officials within Iran's armed forces, including the Chief of Staff of the Army and the head of Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard Corps. And the two top commander, General Mehdi Rabbani, as well as General Mehrabi, have now died as a result of Israeli strikes on Iran. General Ghulam Reza Mehrabi was the Deputy of Intelligence of the General Staff of Armed Forces, while General Mehdi Rabbani was the Deputy of Operations of Armed Forces. And Iran has now closed its airspace until further notice. Iran's Civil Aviation Authority has declared the country's airspace has closed until further notice, stating that the strikes are continuing for the second day, and this is a precautionary measure. No flight will be operated at any airport in the country in order to protect the safety of passengers until a further notice. The announcement comes shortly after Israeli military said its jets have freedom of action in the skies of Tehran. Iran now seemed to have closed its airspace completely under duress and threat of Israeli strikes. That's what the state agency is reporting at the moment. Iran's Civil Aviation Authority has declared that there is going to be a closure until a future notice says otherwise. This comes even as Israeli strikes continue for the second consecutive day. The third day is about to start in just a while from now, and no flights will now be operational at any airport in Iran. All right, the latest that we are coming as the war in Middle East between Israel and Iran escalates further. Iran has now closed its airspace. And Iran responded to Israel's Operation Rising Lion with Operation True Promise on Friday night as the tensions between the two countries escalated further. Now, Iran launched about 300 ballistic missiles at Israel as its supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei vowed to inflict heavy blows in retaliation for Israel's overnight strikes, and explosions were heard in Jerusalem as black smoke was seen rising over Tel Aviv's skyline.
Whoa!
At least 70 people were wounded, 4 were killed after 7th wave of Iranian attack. As per Israel, more than 320 people were injured due to Israeli strikes on Iran. And amid Israeli attacks, Iranian media reported an explosion in Tehran's Mehrabad airport as well. Iran's permanent representative to the UN called Israel's aggression a declaration of war. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps claimed that Iran attacked more than 150 targets in Israel, including the Nevatim air base, and dozens of Iranian missiles reached their targets and effectively hit them. Now, the US also helped Israel repel a missile attack from Iran. And Iran's permanent representative to the UN said that 78 people were killed, more than 320 people were injured as a result of Israeli strikes. In fact, CNN, citing an unnamed senior Iranian official, reported that Iran will strike the bases of any country that defends Israel. Iran has now vowed to retaliate against any country that comes to Israel's rescue. In fact, earlier, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also said in a pre-recorded message that the strikes early on Friday were aimed at hurting Iran's nuclear infrastructure and ballistic missile factories. The attacks continued for the second consecutive day, and the tensions in the region are now escalating. And Iran has now confirmed that its Fordow nuclear facility sustained limited damage following recent attacks. The semi-official ISNA news agency reported as on Saturday, citing a spokesperson for the country's atomic energy organization. The State Atomic Energy Agency said that they had already moved a significant part of the equipment and material out, and there was no extensive damage, and that there are no contamination concerns as of today. And on your screens right now, the Fordow nuclear facility, which sustained limited damage as per Iran. Iran said that that hasn't really affected the operations, for the majority of the equipments and materials were already moved out and there is no extensive damage and no contamination. And Iran's nuclear sites have now been attacked for the second consecutive day. As the war prolongs, let's take a look at the two crucial sites which have been attacked. The Natanz uranium enrichment facility, the significance of course being that it's Iran's largest and most fortified enrichment facility. This was attacked on day 1. On day 2, Fordow fuel enrichment plant, which is used for enriching uranium to higher purity levels of up to 60%, was also attacked. And on the day 2, Isfahan Nuclear Technology Center was also attacked by Israel. It hosts research reactors, uranium conversion equipment. The Arak heavy water reactor was also attacked in Iran. It's a plutonium production facility. It has been allegedly reactivated for advanced testing of late. And during the night strikes on Israel, Iran used for the first time their latest ballistic missile, Khaybar Sheikhan, also known as the Khaybar Breaker, which is capable of carrying explosives up to 1,500 kilograms. This is a solid fuel precision guided missile. It's designed to evade anti-missile defenses. Its range is from 2,000 kilometers onward. On your screens right now, the Khaybar Sheikhan, which can carry a payload of up to 1,500 kilograms. This was used for the very first time by Iran. The Israeli military released on Saturday surveillance footage to show strikes on targets in Iran a day after launching its biggest ever air offensive against its longtime foe in a bid to prevent it from developing a nuclear weapon. The footage on your screens was posted on Telegram, and it said that Israeli Air Force were continuing to strike targets to remove threats in Iran. Israel launched, remember, its biggest ever offensive against Iran on Friday, against its commanders, nuclear scientists, military targets and nuclear sites. Tehran, which denied that its uranium enrichment activities are a part of secret weapons program, continues to say that uranium is going to be enriched for civilian use only. It responded by launching hundreds of ballistic missiles at Israel. And after Natanz, Israel attacked Iran's Shahid Raisi nuclear power plant in Isfahan in the intervening night of Friday and Saturday, Iran's state-run IRNA news agency reported. Isfahan Deputy Governor Akbar Salehi said that the rescue teams were dispatched immediately after the attack and no casualties have been reported from the attack on the power plant. On Friday, Israel targeted Natanz and Fordow nuclear facility. Now here's why Isfahan really matters to Iran. Isfahan is the hub of nuclear research and development in Iran. It is located about 215 miles southeast of Tehran. It hosts 3 Chinese-built research reactors The facility employs around 3,000 nuclear scientists. It hosts nuclear research reactors, a uranium conversion plant, a fuel production plant. It forms part of Iran's core nuclear infrastructure. Training and infrastructure for Iran's atomic programs is also the hub. So Isfahan continues to be a training infrastructure for Iran's atomic program, as well as being a core nuclear infra for Iran. And as tensions are soaring in West Asia, Iran declared that talks with United States over its nuclear program are now meaningless, following what it calls as the biggest ever Israeli military strikes on its soil. Iran's foreign minister accused the US of supporting and enabling the attack, saying that Washington cannot claim to be pursuing diplomacy while also allowing Israel to target Iranian territory. In a sharp statement by Iran's semi-official Tasnim news agency, Foreign Minister spokesperson said, and I quote, "The other side acted in a way that makes dialogue meaningless." He further alleged that Israel's assault would not have been possible without US's approval, and that Tel Aviv had influenced the diplomatic process. The remarks come just days before a scheduled sixth round of US-Iran nuclear talks in Muscat, raising serious doubts about whether the discussions will go ahead as planned. Iran continues to insist that its uranium enrichment program is strictly for civilian use only, rejecting Israel's long-standing claim that Tehran is developing nuclear weapons in secret. The US denied any complicity in the attack and told Iran at the United Nations Security Council that returning to talks would be a wise path forward. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump, speaking to Reuters, said that they knew in advance about Israeli strikes, but his administration still believes in nuclear accord with Iran is possible. And with diplomatic efforts under strain and military tensions rising high, the road to de-escalation now appears to be more uncertain than ever. And now Elon Musk has entered the Iran-Israel war. Elon Musk said he will be providing Starlink facility to the people of Iran. The Iranian government has started blocking, remember, internet in view of the war. And the Iranian government's action on the internet is being linked to the possible rebellion of the people of Iran. Elon Musk decided to provide the facility of Starlink and a satellite so that Iranian people can get the information they need. So Elon Musk there stepping in as far as the ongoing tensions between the two countries concerned, suggesting that Starlink is ready to provide any internet facility for people of Iran. Now, Iranian leaders have blocked access to internet in view of the situation escalating between Iran and Israel and fearing a possibility of internal rebellion. And amid the ongoing Iran-Israel war, the United States is now shifting military resources, including ships in West Asia, in response to Israel's strikes on Iran and a possible retaliatory attack by Tehran, as per at least two official US sources. US Navy has deployed its warship in Red Sea and Mediterranean Sea to help Israel. It can be expected that the US will jump directly into the war in coming days. An emergency UN Security Council meeting was held in New York on Friday to discuss the ongoing tensions between Israel and Iran after both the countries attacked each other with missiles. Israel's aerial assault on Iran has destroyed the above-ground enrichment plant at Natanz, where there is now contamination, according to Rafael Grossi, who is the chief of United Nations nuclear watchdog.
At present, the Iranian authorities are informing us of attacks on two other facilities, namely the Fordow fuel enrichment plant and at Isfahan, where fuel plate fabrication plant, a fuel manufacturing plant, a uranium conversion facility, and an enriched UO2 powder plant are located. However, Madam President, I have to inform that at this moment, we do not have enough information beyond indicating that military activity has been taken place around these facilities as well, which initially had not, I repeat, had not been part of the military operation. But now there is enough information for me to say to you that these facilities are also concerned.
Iran is enriching uranium up to 60% purity, close to the weapons grade of 90% at the Natanz pilot plant. But the Fordow site, which is dug into a mountain, produces more of the material, and military experts say it would be difficult for Israel to destroy through bombardment. Iran accused the United States of being complicit in Israel's attack on Islamic Republic, which the Washington has denied.
His deliberate and systematic killing were not only illegal but inhuman, a chilling display of calculated aggression. These atrocities constitute clear act of state terrorism and flagrant violation of international law. Those who support this regime with the United States at the forefront must understand that they are complicit by aiding and enabling these crimes, by they share full responsibility for the consequences. Supporting Israel today is supporting war crimes, crimes against humanity, and deliberate undermining of global peace and security.
This operation was carried out because the alternative was unthinkable. How long did the world expect us to wait? How long? Let's speak about it. Until they assembled the bomb?